Hello everyone, sorry I'm late. Unfortunately I had a lot of stuff to do this morning. The joys of looking after people, I tell ya. Okay, so what am I... Okay, this is going to be a bit of a short stream this morning because I'm expecting to have interruptions in about an hour's time. But today, and if you can't hear, I'm still currently getting stuff ready. Today is going to be a bit of a lore stream, along with making a adventure map, because today I'm planning on roughing out the underground. If I can find my pens. Hello, there, I got a poem now. Okay, so I'm planning on roughing out the design. Okay, so here's the village of Carlsburg. I'm planning on roughing out the design for the underground. There's an underground layer to this village that is being built by the stonemasons who have this building right here. So they have special access to the underground. So it's basically the Carlsberg sewers. And okay, let me just get some stuff out of the way. Okay, get that over there, that over there. Oh, I'm so prepared this morning. Okay. Oh, dropping stuff. Things are falling down. Okay, let me put that there and get my drawing tablet down. Okay. I think we're ready. Alright, so where are we? Where's my pen? There's my pen. Let's create a drawing layer. Doop. Put it up the top here. And I'm going to call it the sewers. Because that's kind of what it is. Okay, so this is the village of Carlsburg, which is currently what I'm working on. Where's my zoom? There it is. Oh no, that's my rotate. There's my zoom. Okay, so this is the village of Carlsburg, and it's centered around this giant building in the middle here called the Mother's Arms Tavern and Inn. And it's a big multi-story building where on the ground floor it's sort of like kitchens and stables and stuff. Then the next floor up is a giant beer hall, and then also and it's also split into a couple of main sections. So there's this section here. That's the main beer hall, and then on top of that there's accommodation and stuff so people can stay there. Over this side of the building is it is sort of like a bathhouse. So it's a multi-story bathhouse. On the ground floor there are public baths, and then the next floors up are private baths, and they've all got, you know, hot water and whatnot like that, because there's a special system that they use to get hot water. This section over here is mainly kitchens and accommodation for, you know, the tavern owners and what like that, and also private rooms for when you're staying there. But anyway, that is the Mother's Arms. So the whole village pretty much supports the Mother's Arms and the trade, because this is the trader's way through here. So most of pretty much the entire village survives on the traffic of the trader's way that's coming to the Mother's Arms. But there is this building here. These guys. These are the stonemasons of Carlsberg, and they built all the ground floor of all of these buildings, because all the buildings here have a stone ground floor. They have a brick ground floor. But underneath that, they're starting to put in sewers. That they're actually carving out underneath this village a sewer system. So my plan is to work out this time today that from here there's going to be access to an underground layer, and that's where I'm going to be working it out today. So let's make our village a little bit transparent so I can just see it. So it's 50% transparent, and we're going to focus on the sewers level. So this is the building here. Let me just zoom in. So we're 200%. So we're okay. So here's the building. Now across the road is this building here. This is the carpenters. I think it's Walker's Timber Mill. There we go. So that's Walker's Timber Mill. There's the pond of reflection where people can go and, you know, spend a day. It's a nice little. It's got a big pond in it. Fruit trees. It's a nice little manicured garden type area. But this is the main area that I want to deal with at the moment. So it goes about here. Oh, I think my layer that I drew on, my grid, has moved because it doesn't line up. That's no good. It's got to line up. Let's just move it over. Okay, there we go. Close enough. So we come back, erase that. So yeah, so there's going to be a service elevator or steps coming down here in this area. Now the whole idea with what I'm doing at the moment is that I want to base an adventure in the underground layers. So I'm sort of working out how would they go and do all the piping for everything, because so let's assume that there's got to be some sort of access here, and then you've got to have access here, so each of these buildings, then you'd have access for here, then you'd have access here. So each of the buildings in Carlsburg would have to have, eventually, because this is the whole idea, they're all eventually going to have some form of access to, and I think this would have double, maybe even, you know, access down here. So this is effectively where the sewer pipes are going to connect to each household. Timber mill probably doesn't need it, but you know, we'll plan for it. So each of these little dots we'll assume is going to be an access point where a pipe is going to come down to the sewer system, and then that sewer system is going to connect up to the main, you know, their main processing center for waste, because I've got because it's the owners of Carlsburg, or the mayor, or I'm not certain which, but one of the main families will have acquired a monster. It's a fantasy setting, you know. Now that's a big warehouse. It doesn't really need a sewerage system. So we go here. So each of these buildings are going to get a connection. I think, let's just go to 100%. I think that's most of the village done. Oh, this is the blacksmith, so we probably should give them a connection. That looks like, oh, these guys. The money changes down there. So these guys aren't going to need it because they basically use their building as a lodge, as where they hold meetings. That's pretty much the only thing that the stonemasons use their building for, is just to, each morning they meet up, sort of decide, okay, these are the things that we've got going on, and they then disperse throughout the village to, you know, either they're doing repairs, they're fixing up brick walls, or maybe they're coming out to these giant bricks out here and they're chopping them up. Like, for example, this here is a giant megalith stone that they've broken up. And because there's a number of them around the place. So this one they're currently breaking up. They're currently breaking up this one. They're currently breaking up that one. So they're in the process of breaking up these giant stones. And there's, so out here at the gravesite, there's a big stone here. And there's a couple of stones here and a couple of stones here. Like, they probably won't break up the ones in here or here, because they're actually parts of graves. But they will break up, say for example, these ones, that one, they definitely will break up that one. They'll break up these. So let me just get rid of those marks. So they'll break up those. They're basically using them as a quarry to make bricks. Ooh, where's my drink? Yum, yum, yum. Alright, so back to the story. So, now the whole idea is that the creature that the village elders have acquired is a type of slime. This is, you know, this being a good old fantasy world, and there are monsters, there's magic. They have acquired a slime. Basically, it's an unintelligent slime that just eats organic matter. And what they do is they have it contained. Now the slime does not eat stone, so they have it contained in a large stone box, effectively, and then they have piping that effectively washes all of the waste that they collect into the stone box to be eaten up by this slime. Now, my idea for an adventure is that the slime has escaped, or they're in the process of acquiring a new one. Perhaps the old slime escaped, or it just died for some reason. Who knows why? It just died. But anyway, they needed to get a new one, or they needed to get back the old one. And the idea is that they've petitioned some characters to help them get it back. So we need some sort of central processing area, which I'm thinking we'll actually put under here. So we'll copy this footprint. So we'll have a large area that, oops, what's going on? Oh, I accidentally picked up the color of the tablet. I mean, color of the background. I need to go back to black. There we are. Okay, so I'm just penciling in. So we're going to have a main processing area. So everything in the village comes into here. And this is where they store the slime. And it's basically, like, it's mobile, it will move around, but it can't eat stone. And perhaps water is also not good for it as well, so maybe that's how they contain it. But anyway, they contain it in a big pit that's made out of stone. So let's say the pit is, so how big are round squares? So our squares are actually 10 feet in size. So let's just say they contain it in a 40-foot pit. So this is the slime pit. contain the slime in there. And then they would have pipes. They would have pipes that would sort of lead all this material into. So I'm thinking they'd have like main collection areas, because then they'd have to have access to these main collection areas. So I'm thinking that perhaps they don't have as big an area. If they've only got a 40-foot by 40-foot pit that they keep it in, let's just say they have a 10-foot walkway around it. Because you've got to remember, they've tunneled all this out. So they've got a 10-foot. Let's actually just zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to rotate my canvas. There we go. So let's just say they only have a. So that's the pit. Then they have a walkway area around it. And then they will have main conduits coming off to each of the collection points. So here and here, where the waste sort of gets brought down to this level. So we come out. So how would we do this? So we'd have all these. So I'm thinking we'd do this in quadrants. So if this is a quadrant here, so if I actually go on another layer, and I'll use this purple color. Actually, no, does the yellow show up well? Yep. Okay. So if we work on the idea of quadrants, and then through here. So the main village area is sort of this. Because these guys actually have houses right out to the edge of the. Because there's a palisade, see there's a palisade right here, and then there's a little walkway right up against the palisade. So these guys are actually kind of right out to the edge. Now how about these guys? These guys down here, they are, yeah, they're right out to the edge as well. So if we go, so they'll have a main collection point there. What about these guys? These are, they're like that. So again, sort of that sort of position. I didn't get that quite right, but that's... So, that means we want to have our main collection point. Go back to this level. So somewhere about here, here, and here. let's get rid of that. Okay, so maybe they built circular rooms. How big is that? So that's a 20-foot sort of circle. So if they have rooms, so if they have circular rooms like that, okay, so if I pick up this, actually no, I'll just make another circle. So if they have, how about here? Circular room about there. And so about here. And what about, actually thinking most of it's over this side, so it could possibly be here. So if they have circular rooms like that, so let me I'll redo this one. And draw it out about here. Okay, so these are main collection points. And then these will... Should these go straight in? I'm thinking these will sort of like... Well, they could have, actually, they could have. So this is their main pit. But maybe they've got little ones. Little subordinate sub pits where they take care of each quarter of the city's waste. And then they would have sort of pipes. They'd be designing pipes to come in like so. Or, oops, so I'm gonna, because this could be something where you've got to then track the monster down through the sewers. And I think when they go wide, things to think about when designing a map. Because I'm thinking that there'd be main passageways out like this that they've dug out, and then they have connections like so. I'm purposefully not doing this symmetrical because I feel that they'd only build the tunnels where they need to. And I'm thinking these 20-foot wide tunnels are probably a bit too much. But I'm also thinking that they probably have carts, like a little rail system as well in here, connecting between all these systems. So I'm just roughing this all out. Now I'm thinking that instead of, so I might concentrate on one area and sort of come up with a basic plan. Because if we go with the idea that this is, they have sort of like these chambers where they've got little cut off pieces of the slime, like maybe baby slimes, and again they keep them in a pit. So let's have a look here, and because in the pit it's stone walls, it can't eat the stone, and you know, they probably have it designed so that the monster can't climb out. At least you would think that's the plan. So how am I going to do this? So let's go to 200%. So we're down here, so it comes in here. Like so. And then they'd have a pit. So they'd have another circular pit in the middle. Only about yay big. And then they would have, so they would have little 5-foot tunnels coming out, which they would then have the majority of these pipes in. Like this. So these would only be like, say, 5-foot wide tunnels. And then you would have all these pipes sort of coming in and then leading to a main junction, which then leads them down and into there. It's all like their household waste and their poop and their wee and everything like that sort of goes down a bunch of pipes. You know, maybe they connect into a main pipe here, just the same as, you know, our sewage system does. Connects into a main pipe, which then comes down and empties into there, and then they'd have, you know, little connecting tunnels. With their pipes. Like that. And then be, you know, perhaps they've got a specific tunnel coming off this way, and then they'd have the pipes for here running in, and these could be ceramic, you know, like stone cut pipes, same as early pipes is what we have. I think that's all the households in that area. Oops, except for this one. So this might actually... Actually, it would have been easier, instead of having a little tunnel come off there, they built a tunnel here. And then the pipe comes, you know, through here, because they only need to get it to here. There we go. So that's that pipe coming through. So they've got a little, stone pit where they keep the sludgy the slime, and that's where they it eats the material that comes out of the village in this area. So then if we have a look over here, we try and do the same thing. So how would they do this? And they just have they would have all the pipes for the mother's arms, I think, just come down and go into the main pit, because it would be the main workhorse of the village, because it's got to deal with the bathhouse, it's got to deal with all sorts of stuff. So that would be the main one. So there would be, maybe there'd be a ton of pipes coming down here, leading out to here. And there'd be pipes coming from here. So this is our sewer network starting to take shape. And this is also sort of defining the objects that characters would have to get over and around down in the stinky sewers. The sewers of Carlsburg. Okay, so that's that there. Perhaps there's, because this is above the main beer hall of the Carlsburg pub. So maybe there's pipes that come down here. Come down the wall, go straight into there. Okay, so next from here we've got this area. So I think there'd be a little alcove here for this building. And once again, we'd have a main pit where the slime is stored. So there'd be a pipe there coming in. And then again, we'd have, they're trying to, not build as many things, as many tunnels as they have to. So there's a pipe that comes over from there, and again, little sludgy guy. Then I think they'd put a tunnel through like this. And they would have a main have a main tunnel along here. Look, I'll finesse this all later, but this is just a rough draft of where things would go. And again, that have, there's a pipe coming down for each place here. And then it would lead into a main pipe that then comes out here. So there would be... So this would come into here, and then go out there like that. And there'd be pipes along the floor that would provide access there. And then over here, so where would we get the most amount of houses with the least amount of tunneling? So perhaps if we orient our map like this, grab our paintbrush again, so we'd have a tunnel coming along here. Now that's under the walkway, so we'd have to move it. Move our tunnel. Move it over here. So there's a tunnel about there-ish. And then you'd have so like that. So you'd have some sort of access like that. And then you'd have, you'd have a pipe coming down. You'd have another pipe. And let's just say a pipe over here. And a pipe here. All comes down to like a main pipe that then connects out here. Like that. And now just here, let me just reset my rotation. Okay, this is the blacksmiths. The Carlsburg blacksmith is in here. I think this one is the butcher. So I've definitely written about how he has chutes down to the sewer, because he would make a lot of offal and whatnot. So I'm thinking, so there would be main one like that. And there'd be a pipe coming down here. Pipe coming down here. So that's a walkway, that's a walkway. Then we'd have to have a little alcove here to pick up this guy. So there'd be a main pipe coming out here. His pipe sort of coming down like that. So this is, so we then have, so we don't need to create a special room for him. His pipe can just come down there. And then we've got a pit. So that's where the slime's kept. So we've got a pipe that comes down from this fella. Got a main pipe that comes along here. Probably got another little alcove. Or actually, we probably won't need an alcove for here, because this fella's pipe would come down. He'd just come straight down. Like that. So they would need something over here. So I think, so if we make a little chamber here, we can then have a pipe come down here, so pipe come down here, and then junction between both these little chambers, and we have a connection between the, so this would be the butcher and this is the distillery. The distillery is right here, so we have two little connections there that then go into a main pipe that come out here. Like so. There we go. Then we could have, so this doesn't need it because this is a big warehouse. This is just a big warehouse here. And that's these two buildings on the network. Okay. They would then need to have something here, like a little, like that. This one would be just a little alcove again. Okay, how to do this? Because there's a main access corridor through here. Which connects up here to between these chambers. So there would be, you know, oops. Okay, so then we've got a main pipe here that comes to another main pipe that would then empty out to here. This is where little Squidgy is. Now the problem then becomes this household. It's sort of way out on its own. Maybe they don't have a connection and maybe they're constantly complaining, we need our own connection to the sewers. There we go, so, yeah. Or maybe what they've done is they have connected it. They've done a big connection, just dug a tunnel like this, and then there's a pipe that runs down here. Bit much for one household, but maybe that's the way they had to do it. maybe they came from here. See, I think that's a long tunnel. But then again, that's a long tunnel. I think what they would have done is they would have tried to connect it. Whoops. Didn't mean to erase that. So there's a pipe there for that household. And actually, we'll make it that, you know, there is a pipe coming up here. Go. So perhaps they do have, you know, this tunnel does go all the way out there, and it does connect up. Coming in down here like that, and another one here. So that's got that area. Looks a bit weird. And then these guys would have, they'd have a tunnel. And a main pipe, which would then lead back down the corridor. And into here. And that would resolve the sewage problem for those households. So then we've got to look at this area. Whoops. So we have the main passageway coming down here. Erase out that bit there. Okay, so now we need the pit. The pit the slime is in. That's it, there like that. So how to do this? So this is the main access point. So I'm thinking this main access point is going to lead straight into here. So that's how the stonemasons get from their lodge. So they'd have a staircase in here. That goes up. And they'd use this for storage. So this is where all of their tools and whatnot are stored. Now, part of the plan for down here as well is going to be water storage. They want to have water storage, which is mainly going to be for this building, because that's the bathhouse. So I'm going to have extra stuff designed here. But so I'm thinking, so they'd have a big long tunnel here. And then they'd have a tunnel coming out here, like so. Okay, just like that. So they'd have a main pipe coming out here into here. And that would service all these houses. There we go. And I think my main interruption for the day has just arrived. So I'm probably going to have to call the live stream there before I have visitors. Unplanned. Well, partially planned and planned. That's why my live stream was late, and why I'm only here for a short while is because we've got lots of stuff going on around here. Okay, so then they're going to need a... Because what is these guys? These guys were... Because the money changes are here. This is where Humble and Humble coin exchange is just there. I'm trying to remember what these guys were. I think that's the leather craft shop, and then these guys are the candle makers. Yep, and there is today's interruption in the background. So thank you very much for tuning in. Unfortunately, I am going to have to call it. So thank you for watching. I'll catch you all next time, and hopefully I won't have as many interruptions next time.